Welcome to the coding challenge number 2. And so here we are going back to Julia in case study about dogs. And this time they want to convert the ages of the dogs to human ages and then calculate their average age. And so here in this challenge, our task is that we need to create a function that is calculating average human age and which accepts an array of dogs age, that is ages. And here we need to follow these things, these four tasks. And the first one is the calculate the dog age in human years using the following formula. So the formula is that here if the dog is less than or equal to 2 years old, so that means that human age equal to twice the dog age. And so if the dog age is greater than 2 years old, then human age equal 16 4 times of dog age. So the first step is that calculating the dog age in human years using these formulas. And the next step is exclude all dogs that are less than 18 years old. And so that is essentially the same as keeping dogs that are at least 18 years old. And then the third step is that calculate the average human age of all the adult dogs. And so that you should already know from other challenges how we calculate averages. And the fourth one is the run the function for both the test data sets. Now here the goal of this challenge is to use the map, filter and reduce methods. Finally, then run this function for both the sets, these two sets. And as I said, this is a way of training the map, filter and array methods that we just studied earlier. Now let's pause the video and try it on yourself. Once done with your code, back to the video. Now let's create a function const calculating average human age, that is equal function, and here we need to give the ages. This function takes an array of dog ages and then we want to convert all of these ages to human ages. So what we want to here a array based on the original array. So further the map method is perfect. So we will have a new array called human ages. Create human ages and that is equal the result of calling the map method is ages.map, and then this callback function gets access to the current age. So further give age, and that is here I am using arrow function. And now we here want to return is the result of this formula. So this formula, so for that let's write use a ternary operator, and the age is less than equal to, you see that age dog is less than equal to 2 years old, then human age equal to twice the dog age. So here we write that age is less than or equal to, then use the ternary operator 2 times of age, because the dog age is of course this age variable. So this is the one because it comes from the ages array. So which itself here is an array of the ages. Or so, and the second one is the if the dog is greater than 2 years old, human age equal to 16 plus 4 times of dog age. So further write here, or just simply give 16 plus age to 4. And so since this has an implicit return here, remember that. So we have that here is the return statement. We expect the return here. So this will return the either this one or this one. So that is the callback function, and this will then produce the array that we are looking for. Now let's log this into console. Console log human ages. And now we need to call the function. So let's write here calculating average human age. And here in this we need to pass the test data, that is this first one. Paste. Now let's see the result. Reload. See here we have that all these dog ages converted to human ages. Now let's see if it is correct or not. The first one is 36 and here we have that 5. Input data that is 5. So 5 is greater than 2. So for that it goes to this statement that is 16 plus 4 times of age. So that is 5 into 4, 20 and then add 16 that is 36. And here we have 2, the age less than or equal to. So this is true. So it goes to 2 times of age. That is 2 times of 2, 4. Like that. Now the next step is we want to filter for all the dogs. So let's cut this one. So here we see that exclude all dogs that are less than 18 human years old. Now let's create that const adults that is equal human ages not. Here we use the filter method because it's the filter method who allows us to set a condition like this age arrow function and then age greater than equal 18, then put this here into a new array and then let's log that console.log human ages and so console.log adults. Now let's see the result. Here we had all the adult dogs that 4 and 2 are gone from the list. And so we are done with this and now finally we want to calculate the average. So the average is basically already adding all of these values together and then dividing the result of the length of the array. So that is essentially what we have to do means here write that const average that is equal at here I am using the reduce method and here I am giving the accumulator and the current age. Accumulator, current age and then give arrow function. And now here we want to return the accumulator plus age. Accumulator plus age. And now here I am using the starting value that means initial value is 0, giving 0. So now this statement will return the sum. And after getting the sum, we need to divide it by the length of the array. So for that, let's write here by adults dot length and then now we simply want to return the average and the average value that was just calculator. Now let's store this value into const average 1 and so giving the second test data also replace this one copy, paste, and then now let's log these two into console. Console.log average 1 and then average 2. So we see that we have these average values. This is the average 1 and this is the average 2 of these two test data. So here we have returned the average in a different way. We have the 44 and then 47.333. And now we have another way of writing this one also. So for suppose we have 2 and then 3. We have two values, and now how we want to calculate the average means 2 plus 3, and we have to add these two values and then by we have 2 values, so for that give 2 and then the solution is 2.5. And so we have the another one, that is simply divide these 2 by 2, 2 by 2, and then add this 2 by 2 and then add by 3 by 2, and so this value is equal 2.5. Now let's take this one. Now simply do the same thing what we have here in this. Let's cut this one. And so here we divide by the length of the array for this. So this length immediately here from this parameter. So let's give here I and the entire array. So this is the fourth parameter. Now we can say array dot length. So let's give here array dot length. Now let's see the result. See here we have the same result. So here the values are same, and so this way of calculating it is just the same as this one. And but we can do it kind of, I also wanted to show you a good use case for using this array. So in this case we would have just write that adult dot length, but sometimes when we change these methods together especially, then this one the only way we have that using the current array. So we will use a use case for that later. Now, of course, I do not accept you like the doing. I just wanted to show you a good use case for the current array parameter that we have. So we are done with the challenge. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.